I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:03. We will do a roll call. Concilio, first selectman.
Mike Burr, Selectman.
Beth Campbell, Selectman.
Thank you. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would accept a motion to approve or amend the minutes of
3 and 2.
February.
Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February 3rd, 2026 Board of Selectmen.
Beth Campbell, second.
Think you have a motion and a second. Any discussion or amendments?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a special meeting as well.
I have an amendment to the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Selectmen of February 10th. Motion was made by Selectman Burr, seconded by Selectman Campbell, and then we read the whole resolution. There was never any recorded motion in the minutes. The next motion says to adjourn. So we need a motion. I know we made a motion to, because I remember I read it and said that was the motion, and then Beth seconded it. And then we voted on it. See what I'm saying?
Motion was made by Selectman Burr and seconded by Selectman Campbell.
Yes. And then it's the entire resolution about the 5,410,000. And then after the last further resolved, the next motion says it was motion to adjourn. There needs to be the motion in there. That by my reading that resolution, that was the motion that was made and Beth second, but we never had the record. You never recorded the vote in there. So.
Motion carries unanimously.
Right. So you need to insert that motion carries unanimously in between the last further resolved and then the motion to adjourn.
Yep.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special Board of Selectmen meeting of February 10th, 2026 as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion or amendments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, old business. I don't know where to start with this one. So we had been working toward looking at finishing up 2 contracts for waste disposal. When these contracts were handed off from the prior selectman to me, they were red line contracts, which he instructed me to finish clearing up the red lines so that they could proceed with approvals in multiple steps. The intent was that we would then, once we had those 2 contracts agreed to, we would actually go out for bid, RFP, for the collection side. Now, I want to just back up and just let everybody know that currently, our current provider, CWPM, does the collection and the disposal of all our waste. I was under the assumption that that there was an RFP for the disposal side, But when upon review of the meeting minutes from a meeting back in October of 2025, I found that the minutes stated that there weren't a sufficient number of bidders to get 3 bids, so there was never an RFP or 3 bids. I had a call with CWPM to update them on where we were on the process because they had reached out to me, and they were taken by surprise that they were not allowed to bid on the total package. They asked me if there was a public bid process. I went back, did the research to the minutes, realized that there was not. So had a couple of conversations with our contact at CWPM. They then informed me that they would have liked to have bid on the project, on the scope of work. They also told me that the 2 disposal vendors that we were working toward, from a contractual perspective, getting rid of those red lines, so to speak, were actually the 2 disposal locations that they bring our waste to today. They also informed me that they often have to find a secondary location when those locations are at capacity and are not accepting loads at a particular time. So that information gave me pause and made me wonder if we were going down the right path in terms of taking the responsibility of contracting directly with disposal providers on our own. I'm a little uncomfortable with unbundling these services and taking the responsibility of having to reroute our collection or curbside loads somewhere else without having a contract or a place to bring them. So I began to dig in a little bit deeper and trying to understand exactly what the pros and cons were. I do not have all the information at this time, but I'm just taking this opportunity to update the Board of Selectmen. I have also reached out to Mike Rybeck, our town attorney, to ask him what would be the procedure and how can we proceed from here, as the Murphy Road contract is not signed, but did go to town meeting. So I spoke with him today and sent him several items to document where we were, including the minutes from the October meeting and several other items related to minutes of meetings, etc., for him to review and determine where we are. So I am bringing this as an update to the Board of Selectmen. He has counseled me / us to wait until he comes back before we take this up any further to make any further decisions. I will note that I did speak with CWPM. They are willing to give us another 1-year extension so we can work out this, should we need it, to have more time to work out where we want to go and what we're going to do. So that's what I have right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So we will move on to new business, which is the first item is to discuss update possible approval of the town hall evacuation policy. So I have, I think it was in the packet that went out last week, but I think you also have copies now. So this was an item that was sort of brought to my attention as I go through the big book of policies and try to pick out which ones we need to do first, second, third, fourth, etc. This one seemed rather important to me because it certainly had the prior first selectman's contact information and name in here. It also had an evacuation, a secondary evacuation route of the center school for inclement weather evacuations, which will be very difficult for us to accomplish, as we would all have to be logged into the school security system. We can't just go strolling in there. So I have reviewed this with all the parties. There isn't really a substantial change other than making that secondary refuge basically the library. So spoke with Amy, she's comfortable using that as a secondary refuge. Also reviewed this policy with our police chief to make sure I wasn't missing anything, as there is a key point in here relative to the dispatcher playing a role. So I would like to introduce this for your review, but I would like you, you're comfortable perhaps approving these changes so that we could move forward with an updated evacuation policy. There is a section here that talks about evacuation drills conducted twice annually. Once we get this approved, I'll probably do this, just for me, probably, because I'm the new guy, but to make sure we're all comfortable with the policy and what everybody needs to do.
I have a couple of questions.
Yep.
Same procedure, if there's a fire or it's just an evacuation, it seems to me, and if so, are the level 3, the level captains responsible for a final walkthrough to make sure that everyone has evacuated? Or if there's a fire, if there's a serious fire, are all these captains going to be walking through all these spaces? Or are they just going to evacuate? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's two levels of threat, really. One may be immediate, building filled with smoke. I just maybe you need to clarify that. You know, if personal safety is a concern, then the captains evacuate the building as well. And I also would ask you to call Deb Bornable or call that number and press 0. I don't think you get Deb Bornable. I think you have to press one number. You have to press 1 to get the menu and then star to get the selectman's office, right? So that press 0. I don't know that anybody's going to reference this for anything really, but that won't get you anywhere. My only comments really.
Yeah, the number above it is the phone on
level,
my desk.
Rich, level 1, that's the senior center?
Yep.
Does that include the basement of the old firehouse as part of level 1? There's no office down there. There is the maintenance workshop down there. I don't know.
That's the senior
I
center.
very well maybe overthinking this, but I just think maybe we don't want to put anyone in harm's way as a level 6 captain, you or Deb, you know, and if in fact there's a fire, we probably would hope that everyone would hear the fire alarm and just evacuate. I fully understand, you know, having been a captain in an airline, I'm supposed to wait till everybody's off and walk from front to back, whether it's on fire or not. But I don't think we want to put our personnel in that sort of a situation, do we? A bomb threat might be a different thing, or something that's not as time sensitive as a fire evacuation. Like I said, probably overthinking it, you know.
No, I think that's a good point. No, we can add something that says,
So just,
I don't want, look, it's gotta be fire or no fire, really, in my mind, because you don't want people judging, making a judgment call on how bad a fire is and can they still go clear the room and, do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I fully understand securing everything, especially vaults and something that may or may not have money in it, today's world, it wouldn't be unusual for someone to call in a hoax scare to get in the building and steal things, I guess. But, each captain there should be a policy so the captains aren't questioning, wow, there's a fire, do I get out or do I go around and secure everything first,
I think, that requires more discussion, but in my opinion, fire means leave.
Yeah.
And don't follow this, don't go sweeping spaces. Because people, once you start, you can't make a decision about the condition of a fire.
Right.
The other thing is, if you look at level 2, where it says maintenance coordinator will ensure that the box office area and Crescent Gallery are evacuated, I can add that workshop basement. Is that the one you're referring to, Mike?
Yeah, I just don't know. Is the intent of this to make sure that everything's secured, or is it to make sure that all the personnel that nobody tripped and hit their head and is laying on the floor, right?
Personnel.
Yeah, so suppose there could be some, right now we have workers that are doing painting windows. I think they're in that basement area set up to paint, things like
I
that.
got seniors downstairs too.
But that's here. No, but that's covered.
Yeah.
That's
I'm saying
the other
the
side of level
purpose
1.
of
Yeah, it's two different, they're
Two different
not
spaces.
connected. You have to come upstairs and then go back down. So
What would be the right term for that space?
it's got level 1.
Me.
You can move pretty fast.
You're doing 2 levels, Rich? Level 1 and level 5?
Yeah, you're covering a lot of territory, right?
We share it. We share it. Debbie and
Okay.
I share it. Mike, what would be the right terminology for that space? The maintenance?
Well, on the blueprints, it's listed as a firehouse, firehouse basement.
Okay,
Because on the blueprints for that project, level 1 is actually level 2 in the town hall. Because that elevator doesn't go to the basement.
okay. I will make those changes and bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, not at all. Those are important catches. Anything else on that one or? No? Okay, I'm gonna move to the next item, which is discussion possible approval of tax incentive.
I'm sorry, Rich, we don't need a motion to table that, do we?
We probably should.
I'll make a motion to table the town hall evacuation policy discussion update possible approval to the next regular meeting.
Second,
That was Burr.
Beth Campbell, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So the next item is a tax incentive for 82 Main Street. That is fire and hearth. Why can't I think of the name of the place now?
Four Seasons.
Four Seasons, thank you. So this was actually approved by the EDC in August of 2025, August 11th, 2025. It was somehow not brought forth to Board of Selectmen for approval. So this has gone, I guess, back and forth a little bit, but there were some questions and they went through. You can see what the amount is from a percentage perspective. This is basically the EDC applying the tax incentive criteria that's in their policy. This would have to go to town meeting after us.
Yeah, this is all part of the incentive, program we have in place, right?
Yes.
So, it looks like they met all the criteria. Gave us quite a bit of information. So I would make a motion if you're ready for that. I guess we need to have a motion to be able to discuss it, but I'll make a motion to approve the tax incentive for 82 for Four Seasons. What are they actually called? Four Seasons Roof and
You can just use 82 South Main Street.
82 South Main Street. As recommended by the EDC, subject to approval at a town meeting.
Beth Campbell, second.
Okay, discussion.
No, they did a nice job there.
Okay, I'll move to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. The next item of new business is the review of the 26-27 budget. So got all the tiny numbers on the screen. So we have now gone through the process on the town side of collecting bottom-up budgets, reviewing them with each department. By we, I mean Tracy and I. And I can tell you that on the Board of Ed side, we did have the first budget workshop, where we had a lot of discussion about where we need to be from a budget perspective. What we then did is something a little bit different, I think, than we've done in the past. And I have the budget sheet open just for those who are either looking at the screen or my fellow selectmen. So at the bottom of the last page, you'll see some work in there, some numbers in there that is called the OPM analysis. So every year we get a number from OPM, which is based off an estimate of where they think the consumer price index has been and where they think it's going. That number has been roughly around 2.7 recently. We have not received the official number yet from OPM, but the goal was to use a representative number to target, right? So that was one of the guiding principles behind this budget. The other guiding principle was to, look historically back at what, where we've landed budgets in the past in terms of taxpayer approval, right? So we know that, taxpayers will typically vote in a budget and allow us to increase a budget by between 1 and 1.5 mils, usually 1 and 1.25 mils, let's say. Not quite 1.5. But taking those two numbers and putting them together, we worked the budget now from a top down after building it from a bottom up to sort of come in at that level. Now, that OPM number that we looked at and we agreed to use both on the town side and the Board of Education side was a not to exceed 2.7% number. That number is calculated by removing two key elements out of the budget sheet that you have in front of you. One of those is debt service and the other one is capital. So what we did is basically look at the very last line where you see the entry that says town plus ed. That means that's the town side of the budget plus the education budget, and the town side which we would normally have included debt service and capital, is removed. So you can see we're at about 2.33% in total, which is pretty tight. So overall, that is an overall budget increase of just under 2%, with everything, all the other elements factored in. And that number is almost right at a mill at this fiscal year's mill rate.
Which won't be the mill rate for this budget, correct?
Which will not be the mill rate for this budget, but you know how the mill rate works, so it'll be equivalized.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of people wanting to see what happens with the, did we get an indication? I know I saw Jen carrying the grand list from the post office. Did we get an indication on the change in the grand list yet?
Yes. We not talk about that at the last meeting?
I don't think so. I think I'm losing my memory. Yeah. What's coming?
One second.
That's all right. I didn't throw you. I'll do some filler while you're looking. Yeah, thanks for diving in on this with Tracy. Last budget season, Ed had Jeff and I, we sat there and went through every budget like we were on the Board of Finance. So I appreciate your background. Usually we went through them all, and then Ed afforded us an opportunity to, if we had questions, then he brought in, the town hall coordinator or the rec, so we could ask specific questions. But you sat down with each one of these department heads or department representatives and have already. I do have a couple of questions. I honestly, when I looked at the agenda, I didn't know we were going to go through the whole thing and review it tonight.
Yeah,
I would love to just say I like your bottom line and leave it at that. I did have
before you jump into questions. First of all, let me just back up for one.
Yeah, I was just filling some dead air time for the Zoom listeners while you were trying to.
So thank you for that. Maybe we can do a song next time. So let me go back to your question, Mike. I thought that we had brought this forward. It's an omission on my part, and I will put a more robust grand list discussion on the next agenda. But the grand list went up 35.83%. It's what's on the screen right now.
Yeah, so in a perfect world, 35.82%, you said?
83.
83. And do you know what the breakdown was between residential and commercial?
Yes, sir. 44.
Oh, I'm not looking over there. Sorry.
Okay. If you
got
want
my own screen here.
Real estate was 44.74. Personal property was 1.29%. Motor vehicle was 2.74%. So we are doing some mill rate modeling for the Board of Finance. We are not ready to have that discussion, but your point is accurate that, there will be a different mill rate.
So I guess to my question, we used to see a breakdown in real estate between commercial and residential. It's all lumped into one there, or is it further? Turn my head sideways.
Give me a second. I want to make sure this is the right one before I.
That's all right. If we're going to have this discussion at a future meeting, I can wait, Rich. Right, because it might make sense to have the discussion when the Board of Finance has looked at it and we have a better idea on the mill rate, right? So knowing what the
Yes,
You
yes,
wanna-
there is, that breakdown is here, but not in percentages as I think you want. So it's on this page.
All right,
But I think we need to have a fuller
can
discussion.
we get can we get sent a copy of this?
Sure.
Yeah. Then I'll take my questions offline, then, once I have a chance to look at it.
That would be helpful. I'll send it to both of you for your review,
Yeah,
and then we'll
And
put it
I'll-
on next
yeah.
month's agenda, and then you can bring all those questions.
yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Thanks.
And we'll get Jen here to answer them, so I don't have to fumble around while you kill dead air.
Right. Okay,
So, all right, so.
so I guess what are you looking for from us tonight? I mean, I guess.
So I just wanted to start at the bottom, because I like to start with good news. But we can talk all the way through this if you wish. We can go directly into certain areas where you might have questions.
I'd like to do that once we have the next meeting, so.
The budget.
Because honestly, I looked at this quickly. And I usually, me, as I sat in your seat before as well, I'd like to. It looks pretty good. A lot of them look real good, honestly.
Yeah.
But
There's,
I
mean,
did have
there's,
a couple of questions, but I'd rather have that conversation in the context of knowing what the mill rate and what we think. Where we think we're at, right?
you will not have the mill rate by the next, we can
We'll have
table
an
this.
idea though, right?
No. I don't think, so this has not been, I have not released this to the Board of Finance yet.
Oh, okay.
I wanted this group to see it first. If you wanna,
Oh, I guess I do have questions. You've got some items. If you want to just have a brief conversation about this, I don't know where you want to go. I mean.
we can take,
Well,
we
you
can,
have some things highlighted in yellow. What's the significance of that, offhand? Like one of them's education. You have their request highlighted in yellow.
so the contingency is something that is a placeholder number. I'll go to the first highlighted yellow one. That one's a placeholder number. We
Okay,
have a bottom up build. It doesn't put all the way to 200. And that number is usually the purview of the Board of Finance anyway.
right.
But we have some items we've identified that would lean into that. Plus a little bit of true contingency that we would put on top. I'll be honest with you, 200 is usually the contingency target for us anyway, but that's not my decision. So,
Yeah.
so that's the first yellow one. Let me go through. The next one is the Board of Ed. They have not fully approved that number. They have come back and said, we think we have a workable number. We think it's this. It has not been approved. There is another second budget workshop scheduled for March 1st. It's the Monday. What's the date today? It's a week from Monday. So this is not, that is highlighted because that is not an approved number. That's where they think they can get to, but their board has not approved that number. The capital is the next highlighted number. So this number is my swing at the capital plan. This number is the purview of the capital committee, which will be meeting next Tuesday. The last highlighted one, I don't think should be highlighted. So that's probably something that we had some highlights in here. This is always a work in progress, as you know, Mike, until we move it to referendum or town meeting. So that one probably shouldn't be highlighted. There's a few bogeys in here I can tell you straight up about. The first one is elections. And you'll see, quite a big increase there. We regularly go over on that line. So we did a bottom-up build of exactly how much we needed. This is going to be a budget year where there's an election. There will very likely be a primary for the gubernatorial race, at least on one side, and maybe on both, I don't know. So we've got a primary built in there. And we have four, sorry. We have three referendums, one primary, one regular election, and 3 town meetings. That's our best estimate of where we're gonna end up. Based on what we see coming. So that's a big increase, but I'll be honest with you, we've been spending that right along. That budget right now is at $2,200 left. So we're gonna go way over that, right? We haven't done any budget. We got budget to land, probably another town meeting. So there's that. The other thing that we keep struggling with is the town hall budget.
Before we get off elections, Rich.
Yep.
I think it's worth saying publicly that a lot of this is because we've been forced to the early voting and all this. And my question is the Council of Governments or anything that you're involved with, is there a concerted effort to go to Hartford and say, this isn't working out, we need to walk this back? I think I heard that that they were trying to propose going down from 7 to 3 days. But is there, I mean, all the towns, all 169 towns have to be feeling the same pain, and is there going to be any kind of effort to overturn this 7-day early voting? Or
I'll be honest, it is with everything that is happening with these housing bills, Mike. All the efforts being focused on trying to beat back these crazy housing bills that are floating around. The whole conversation today was in those public hearings was all about the housing bills. I have sent notes to Henry and John and told them that this is just really unsustainable. The very first time they foisted this unfunded mandate upon us, they gave us a small amount of money to cover it, which didn't even cover half the cost of what was going on.
What would it take to get a 169 town effort to heart? It's not going to do any good to. I appreciate that you got a hold of John and Henry, but they're in the minority. What needs to happen is the majority and the governor need to hear that this is pinching us, and they need to. If they haven't, they need to get out and see our poor volunteers sitting there all day so 2 people can vote.
I completely agree with you, and I completely support what you're saying.
But there's cost and there's COG that we're members of, right?
We are not members of cost.
Where's the other one I saw in there for a budget? There was COG and CCM.
Yeah. So there are 3 organizations that basically do what you're describing. So NVCOG, CCM, and cost. So there's a lot of overlap, and cost seems to have the smallest amount of traction, relatively speaking. So we focus on CCM and the COG. So I have a COG meeting on Friday. I will bring it up again.
Yeah, please bring it up. I mean,
I'm just going to caution you.
We need to make noise, right?
We do, but I'm telling you, when you go down that list of stuff in terms of ECS and the housing bills and stuff, trying to make that happen is just lower. I'm not saying you're wrong, you're right, but in the scheme of priorities that I've seen coming out of Hartford, there's just it's gonna be hard to make
I get
make
it,
that
it is,
rise.
but the longer we sit back and don't do anything, it's gonna be codified in stone, right? I mean, we've had a period where we've seen the financial impact to our town, and I've heard it from other leaders in other towns as well.
Mhm.
You know, so somehow there has to be.
I will bring it up on Friday at COG.
Thank you. The other question I had, you had, what's the Seth Thomas transfer? I know it's basically a rounding error, but what is that line item, the 10,700? Operating transfer to Seth Thomas, is that the Brad Street house, or what is that exactly?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Sorry.
I'll hold that question.
Do you have other questions you want to just jump into, or you want to just?
No,
review
I
it?
think, like I said in the beginning, the onset, I think it all looks pretty good, and you addressed my bigger question, that was, what are the yellow highlighted ones? Obviously, elections is one of the ones that jumps off the page, but it looks like everybody else did a pretty decent job. I did have one question on recreation. I know they heated the building at Sanford. Not at Sanford, at Reeves, to accommodate the bulk paint that we had to buy for my favorite line painter. And I don't see in their budget anywhere where it talks about propane or the cost to heat that building. I was just curious on, you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse on that line painter, but I just don't know where is that called out. I see they have electricity, but they don't have anything for, I think what they do was tied into the propane from the snack shack down there to heat that building, you know, which is an uninsulated building. I'd be just curious as to see in a cold winter like we're having, what's it cost to heat paint? Is it maybe somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't see it in here.
Yeah.
If it's propane, it's.
Okay, maybe I'll ask Tracy. Maybe it's coming out of some other account or something. But it looks like. One last question. I tried to look at all the different people that are paying a water and sewer, just because we're getting ready to redo the contract with Landmark, as you know. So we're trying to look at utilities across the board, and I noticed that Recreation's got a huge water and sewer line item compared to other town buildings or other departments here. Do you know why that is, or?
Yeah, it's the park. So the park is now fully turned over. So, sorry, the park, Seth Thomas Park.
Oh, so.
Because that's where they did all the upgrades to
Yeah.
renovation.
So Seth Thomas Park.
Yeah,
So the project was paying for a lot of sod and watering. They were covering some of those costs, and now it's fully into the park and rec budget.
so that shows up as water and sewer as one line. Sorry, I got it called up here too. I'm trying to find recreation.
It's, no, page numbers would have been helpful. It's page 7 of the PDF, bottom half.
Okay. So you think that's mostly water? I mean, if you look at like the highway garage or some of the other buildings, I mean, or let's look at the town hall. And I didn't know, is the sewer standard across all? Sorry, I'm scrolling through this while I'm talking.
Yeah, those sewer
Like the
charges.
town hall, the water sewer charges So I like the way that's broken out. That's helpful for us because they got water and sewer charges for the Opera House. And then water for the town hall building. But you add all those together for the town hall building and the Opera House for water and sewer, and they don't add up to what recreation's paying for water and sewer. They're paying 11,000 and the town. I just thought, I don't know, I was curious that that number jumped off the page when I was, so maybe if we can talk about it offline. How's that?
It's up to you, or we can table this and I can bring whomever you'd like to discuss it with to the next meeting.
Well, when is the Board of Finance meeting? You were hoping to take this to because overall, big picture looking at it, I agree with what you've done. I mean, the bottom line number looks very reasonable. It just did have some, I guess I just need to lose my former Board of Finance hat and just let the Board of Finance worry about it. Well, why don't we do this? I like it from our perspective, and thank you for the review. And I can put a bug into some of the Board of Finance guys and they can ask this kind of questions as a part of their review.
Yep. Look, I'd like to get it to them sooner rather than later. I'm sure they'd like to take it up in their next meeting, which is the second Tuesday of February.
Yeah,
We do have
I don't
another-
want to slow that process down because we've been through it and it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So,
And this isn't the final, right? This is
No.
just us passing
no, I
them,
understand.
our best effort.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's known that we are looking at it. Because if you read the state statutes on how this is supposed to happen, Thomaston historically has done it backwards, right? If you go to Litchfield, the onus is on them to come up with the whole budget and present it to the Board of Finance, and the Board of Finance kind of does a final wave the wand. And that always bothered me when I was on the Board of Finance, as we, spend hundreds of hours going through this, wondering like, well, why didn't the Board of Selectmen do this and just come to us? But so I just want to make sure that everyone knows that we've done the due diligence on this and looked at it. So
I did it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of having a former Board of Finance chairman as first selectman, I guess. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, look,
So are
we
you
took an
looking for a
entire
motion to send this to the Board of Finance? Because like I said, if you just look at the bottom line, it looks like a solid start, right?
I don't think we need a motion,
No,
because I think the only motion we're gonna make is at the public hearing after they
right.
decide to pass it to us.
Yeah,
right?
so I'll just thank you for all the hard work on this, and we didn't have to do the big thick packet of everybody's budgets. And
That's why I didn't schedule all those meetings like I did last year and I think the year before, because, I changed the process, right? So bottom up, top down, guiding principle, OPM cap and respecting, what the taxpayer is expecting.
yeah, I did remember when you talked about, we're gonna try to keep it at a mill, so you know what that number was, and you talked about, all right, a kind of a simplistic approach from my perspective, but you're gonna say, let's just say Board of Ed is 65, towns 35, 1 mill 622,000, whatever it is. Did you actually go to the Board of Ed and say 65% of 622,000 and here's your number to chew on?
58%. And yes, I did.
Okay, excellent. And that was received well?
I don't know.
Okay,
It was quiet.
it makes sense. So thank you for that approach. I think it makes sense.
Well, we go through we spin a lot of cycles, and I think the public, comes in and they're upset about certain things, and, I just figured we need to start where we should end,
Yeah.
right?
And now is the time to drive home the point that this budget process is starting. So everybody that was a budget expert in the one meeting they came to should go to the Board of Finance meetings now and get involved and watch the process and ask questions. Right?
Yes, you will hear
That's my public
discussions,
service plug.
you will hear the discussions as you go through.
Rich, I have one quick question for
Sure.
you. Under fringe benefits, the payment in lieu of health. Are those contractual? Is that in their contracts? I know a lot of corporate companies are moving away from that, so I was just curious.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's part of the contract. And it fluctuates from time to time. You know, sometimes there's a significant other that has a better package and they would use that. And then maybe that significant other changes jobs and maybe this offer. So it is fluid. And, you know, Tracy does her best to estimate where we are. But it does change.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else in the budget? I'm gonna jump over to capital real quick. Okay, so this is just the first sort of look at capital. Again, the capital committee is scheduled to meet next Tuesday at 2:00. I will, of course, be there. This is the rolled up, you know, capital plan. I did impress upon people to make sure they put everything in there, even stuff that they didn't think would ever get approved, because there's a lot of things that I've learned over the years don't make it to this list for some reason. So I think it's more important for us to have the complete list and understand what our risks are going forward for underfunding this plan, which we do on an annual basis. So we need to really have a good look. So we added a lot in. This is basically the summary of Tracy and I going through each and every request and trying to understand where we are, what makes sense. So there are this is our best guess at how we should move forward. And where we need to go. So there's any questions? I mean,
Yeah, I just want to put a plug in for, I know it's been on this list a long time, but the roof on the 1990 portion of this building, see, it's a 3 on the priority list. I just think it's now 36 years old. And, you know, if this was your own house, you probably wouldn't disregard that much longer. Only because we were on the roof a lot as a part of the restoration project. There you can see shingles that are missing. And I'm told there are no leaks, but I can walk you to several areas in this building that are leaking. The entrance to the police department where that big ice jam is, if you look at the ceiling tiles there, they obviously have water standing, something's going on. I pointed that out to Joe. I just think maybe, I get it, capital money is always tight, but we don't want to get to the point where we waited too long on a roof part of the building.
you're right.
And I do know when we made the decision on a color, because they had to use some roofing as a part of the restoration, we had to use some asphalt. You know, we matched the color that Joe said was going to be the new color of the, I think it's a greenish now. We're going to probably go to more of a slate to match the rest of the slate. So we took that into consideration when we bought shingles, but I just want to make a plug for that roof.
Okay. We'll go back and take a look at that.
Thanks.
Any questions?
Well, I did have just a quick question about with the ongoing feasibility study. There's a lot of capital improvements here for the school buildings. I guess it's just a comment on if there's any updates as far as the study with the Board of Education and, you know, capital, how are they gonna, the capital improvement committee going to take that into account?
It's tough, but I can tell you, and Rich will say the same thing. If you look at this list of 1, 2, 3s, you're lucky to get to all the ones, honestly.
Okay,
Push comes to shove. This is the part of the budget that always gets pinched because none of these items make any noise. Right?
Yes. So I don't have an update for you. I sent a follow-up email last week. I was supposed to send another one this week, but I will send it tomorrow as to the final report coming out of DRA. The Board of Ed has said they cannot do any further work until they get that report. And so it's there, it's in the Board of Ed's court to now take some of the options that were outlined in that and make sure that they fit our educational needs, right? So it's great to look at size of classrooms, number of students and things like that, and make sure we have the right additional elements like enough cafeteria, enough gym space, et cetera. But we have to take our educational program and layer it over those options and make sure all of those options work or eliminates the ones that don't support our educational objectives. It's the same thing I said in the other meeting, right? Sorry for the canned answer, but
no, it's okay.
it is really, in my mind, the next step. Because we can't choose any of those or eliminate any of those without understanding how well they support our educational objectives.
Rich, I do have one last question, I promise, on this list. This ranking, the capital committee has not met yet.
No,
So these numbers are whose numbers from last year?
Nope.
Is it Carrie?
These are Tracy, this is Tracy and I.
So these are your and Tracy ranking, and the capital committee could have a different set of 1,
Yes.
2s, and 3s based.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And just so to answer your question, if you look at the whole Board of Ed package, listed everything they've listed, Beth,
Yeah.
there's only one number 1, and that's the 2 sets of exterior doors to the center school gymnasium. The rest are 2s and 3s. And like I said, if you look at the summation at the bottom, you can see how much each, then the number 1s add up to $1 million, over $1 million, $1,007,000. You know, the number 2s are
Over 5 years.
yeah, 2s are over 5.58 million, and you know, look at the poor number 5s, that's 41 million total for a total, you know, this is a
Yeah.
$49 million list.
Right, but like, it's not a $49 million list. Because what you only see in here are, if you scroll back up to where the schools are, right? And you look at the facility master plan, which is about halfway down page 1.
Oh, okay, that's
So hold on, that is just the current things identified in the facility master plan that would need to be fixed in the near term. That facility master plan goes out 20 years. You see that there are no numbers in the following columns. Right? So you can't,
so those,
in the case of the schools, you cannot just look at that 5-year total. That is not the 5-year total for the schools because it is missing the next 4 years,
got it,
right?
yeah. So my point was going to be anyways that it's huge. The number's huge.
Right.
And just the number 1s are over $1 million, and typically what do we get, a couple 100,000 that go towards capital projects maybe, or
We typically try to hold the line at 500,000.
so.
That's, yeah, so that's the other part of this exercise is to figure out how do we get, you know, around 500,000. Now, yes, you're right, Mike, that number is, does tend to get on the chopping block pretty quickly. But remember, I brought the whole thing in at less than 2.
Whole thing, what? Say that again?
Brought the whole budget in at less than 2%.
That's with 500 capital. Yeah, that's what I said. big 30,000 foot look, it looks good. So thanks. I don't have any further comments or questions.
Beth,
No,
good.
thank
Okay.
you.
Do you want to table this or do you want to just move it? Not move, I didn't mean move as in motion.
No, I don't think we need to.
It's a work in progress,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, let them go, let them do their thing and we'll. Right,
Okay, thank you. All right. Board, we're gonna move to board commission appointments and resignations. We have those somewhere?
Okay, so you've got appointments and reappointments and then the resignations.
I always have to ask, these appointments have all been vetted,
Yes,
right?
yes, so just to be clear. A lot of these appointments and reappointments have been sitting around for a couple months. But I wanted to make sure I had all the minutes, everything was properly motioned in those minutes.
Okay,
As I mentioned, I'm trying to get all boards and commissions and access to the RTC and the DTC. To make sure everyone's doing everything completely above board and that we can hopefully cut down on FOI stuff.
so, I'll make a motion to appoint Chanel Dupree to the Opera House Commission.
Second,
We have a first by Mike Byrne, a second by Beth
Yes,
Campbell.
sorry, Mike Burr, motions.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a question, when these are, all motion carries unanimously, is that a 3-0 vote or a 2-0 vote?
Two,
Unanimous.
so that one was 2-0 because I said motion carries. Yes, if I said motion carries unanimously, that means I was a yay.
Okay, so you sometimes vote and sometimes don't then?
Yes,
Okay. I'll make a motion to reappoint Rich Chandon to the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission.
Beth Campbell, second.
That was Mike Burr again, unless Beth changes her voice, I have the deeper voice.
any discussion?
Okay, I'll try to get better at saying my name each time.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Bill Guerrero, are these all Democrats? Is Bill Guerrero a Democrat or unaffiliated? I don't
Bill
know.
Guerrero is a Democrat.
Okay, I'll let Beth have one.
Okay, make a motion to reappoint. This is Beth Campbell. I make a motion to reappoint Bill Guerrero to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Mike Burr second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
I want to say thanks a lot. He's been on there a long time, so thank you. I vote aye. Burr.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Christine Yos from ZBA.
Second, Burr.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries.
Beth Campbell, make a motion to accept the resignation of Jennifer Delaney from the library board.
Burr second.
Discussion?
Second, Burr.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Mike Maddow from EDC.
Burr second.
Discussion? I'm gonna add discussion to this one, just like you just did a second ago.
Okay.
I'd like to thank Mike for all his service on the EDC. I don't even know how long he's been on there. It's well over 16 years. Could be over 20 for all I know. But he's always a great asset. Just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
I agree with that. Aye. Burr.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Do you write a letter to these people thanking them for is that automatic?
So all of these folks emailed me and I wrote them an
Oh.
email note back. I didn't write them a old schooly piece of paper, but
Okay.
I thank them all.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Beth Campbell, I make a motion to approve the tax refund submitted by the tax collector in the amount of $218.74 to Nissan Motor Acceptance Corp. Motion to approve the tax refund submitted by the tax collector in the amount of $7,042.58 to Forge Multifamily Group LLC. In the amount of $2,990.50 to Forge Multifamily Group LLC. In the amount of $5,279.11 in the amount, to Forge Multifamily Group LLC. In the amount of $4,433.10 to Rocket Clothes Connecticut LLC. In the amount of $427.17 to ARI Fleet Ltd.
Burr, second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Communications. I just to follow up a quick brief commission discussion. I did receive notification from Connecticut DOT that they will be replacing the bridge on Route 222, which is Hill Road that goes over the railroad tracks. And they're scheduling a kickoff meeting for the first week in March. So we'll be following up on that as well. That's really the only communication at this point. Member comment?
Beth Campbell, no comment.
Burr, nothing, believe it or not.
Okay. Public comment. So just to remind everyone, we'll take public comment from the room first. And then we will go to the Zoom. Please state your name and address. And we'll start in the room. And there is none from the room. So if you're on the Zoom and you'd like to make public comment, please take yourself off of mute and feel free to make your comment.
This is Julie Ingham from 70 Elm Street.
Yes, Julie.
I have a comment. I think it would be nice to have a policy where anyone that's served either on a volunteer basis or even employed by the town would get a letter from the first selectman's office to recognize their, service to the town.
Okay, I can do that.
I want to speak about Chris Nelson. He served for so many years on the cemetery committee and moved out of town, but Ed sent him a very nice letter and it was appreciated. So I just think it, means a lot to people to be recognized. Thank you.
I will do that.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the Zoom? All right. Hearing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Burr, motion to adjourn.
Beth Campbell, second.
Discussion. Does anyone ever discuss that part? All those in favor?
Thank you for asking. No, that's proper. I always had to.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, everybody.
Is that sound off now or?
Yeah.